fly, right? It will be bald. Oh. Turn off the whole house. I will turn. And electricity. Yes.
Right now, the Russian Federation is on fire, not according to its defense plan. Fiery surprises reach even deep into the rear. The drones reach the aircraft factory in Taganrog. The wings of the Kremlin's Chimera are buried under the rubble. The air regiment has been grounded forever. A panic earthquake destroyed a strategically important Russian base with nuclear submarines. Putin miscalculated. The trucks with SPU drones didn't make it. Nature finished the job. More on this ahead. Watch till the end. Greetings, this is Ukraine Today. Nuclear strikes on good Scala and the last codes. More than a dozen explosions hit Russian Taganrog. Russia is shaken. The fireworks are not going according to plan. The city and regional authorities have not made any official comment on the explosion, although so-called war correspondents wrote on their channels about a major attack on the city by Ukrainian UAVs. No, let's move on. Let's see what else is being reported. A swarm of drones forced the Russians to scramble their aircraft.
According to locals, not only air defense systems but also combat helicopters were involved in repelling these UAVs.
Now there will be an explosion. They're flying somewhere. They're flying.
However, neither one nor the other helped the Russians. There were hits.
There are results on the ground, preliminarily in the area of the Baryev Design Bureau.
By the way, the Baryev enterprises specialize in the production of UB-200 hydroplanes, the modernization of A-50, A-100 and Tu-95 MSM reconnaissance aircraft, as well as testing radar surveillance systems. The enemy was literally enveloped in an explosive chain. Locals still cannot move away from the firestorm.
Oh. This is Russian-made.
Air defense forces repelled attacks in Taganrog, Novochakhtinsk, and 4 other districts of the Rostov region overnight. There were no casualties.
Earlier at night, the Ukrainian side hinted that the drones had caused real devastation on high-value targets.
The village of Patroshino near Taganrog. Strikes hit the base of the 325th, the Aircraft Repair Unit, and the 708th Military Transport Aviation Regiment. Several fires have been confirmed at the scene.
The Russians themselves are complaining not only about the attacks but also about the performance of their air defense.
In the village of Novoye Bezsergenivka near Taganrog, a private residential house caught fire at night from UAV debris. The power is out in the whole house. How do you do that? And the electricity? No, nothing will happen to you.
Meanwhile, drones also paid a visit to Belgorod region. You have to see this. Russians witnessed a night of horror due to drone attacks in as many as 7 regions of the Russian Federation. So now, across the Federation, it looks more like an interactive explosion show.
Air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 60 Ukrainian fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles.
There's yet another problem in Russia. An earthquake in Kamchatka may have affected Russia's strategic Putin'S base for nuclear submarines. This was reported by Defense Express, citing data from Western media.
The exact list of submarines stationed at the Putin'S base at the time of the earthquake has not been specified yet. But it should be emphasized here that not only those nuclear submarines currently in active service with the Russian Navy are stationed there. There are also those undergoing routine repairs or even being prepared for decommissioning.
At the moment, it is almost impossible to determine the extent of the damage due to the lack of satellite images. However, Western analysts are strongly noting that Putin's military machine is gradually weakening.
Against this backdrop, it is also worth recalling that after the operation near Vutino, Russia moved the Tu-160 to the most remote airbase in Anadyr. In that case, a truck with drones won't make it there because there isn't a second one. But the talk was about Chukotka. And also the Tu-160s ended up at Yelizovo airfield, also in Kamchatka.
And in addition, yet another painful blow to Russia, Aeroflot suffered a massive cyber attack. 100 flights had to be cancelled and it was barely possible to calm the furious passengers. Hackers stole 7,000 servers and 20 terabytes of data, which affected 40% of passenger traffic in Russia. And this happened against the backdrop of an ultimatum from the US president indicating a growing threat to Russian infrastructure. Could it be that Putin is now finally trapped? More on this in just a moment.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Over 100 flights cancelled in 2 days and several dozen more rescheduled.
The very
Cyber attack on Aeroflot became known on the morning of July 28th. 2 hacker groups were behind it: Silent Crowl and the Belarusian Cyber Partisans.
Our operation is a direct message to the FSB, NCCK, IRT, Solar, and other so-called cyber defenders. You are incapable of protecting even your own key infrastructure. For all employees of the repressive apparatus, your digital security is worthless. And you yourselves have long been under surveillance. Glory to Ukraine, long live Belarus.
A system failure occurred simultaneously in 3 companies united under the Aeroflot group. These are Russia's Aeroflot, as well as the low-cost carrier Pobeda.
Overall, the entire group carries just over 40% of the passenger traffic in Russia. That is, we're talking about almost 40 million passengers. So the significant impact on this particular group is essentially a substantial impact on at least, if not fully half, then certainly a considerable third of all civil aviation operations in Russia in terms of their air carriers.
Most of the flights affected by the cyber attack were related to Moscow, particularly Sheremetyevo Airport. The computers weren't working and passengers were asked not to come. Despite this, hundreds of people crowded into the airport.
Its paralysis or disruption of the normal production cycle effectively leads to the paralysis of almost the entire network, since 70% of all air passengers in Russia, specifically on domestic flights, are transported through Moscow's key hub.
Hackers claim that Aeroflot lost 7,000 servers, more than 10 critical corporate systems and 20 terabytes of data. They prepared for such an attack for a year.
They downloaded a lot of databases, employee wiretaps, emails, and much more. Expect a leak. They uploaded a massive database on flight histories which can now be used on request for independent investigations.
Among such data, there should be government contracts, notes aviation expert Bohdan Dolince. Specifically, personal data and information about flights of employees from agencies and ministries, special services, and even the military.
In addition, this information concerns counterparties such as suppliers of spare parts, meaning it includes a list of affiliated legal entities and companies that enable Russia to circumvent sanctions and carry out their schemes of grey imports.
The main goal of such an attack is to show Russians that the war is closer than they think. This is the opinion of Alexander Shulha, head of the Institute for Conflict Studies and Analysis of Russia.
This primarily concerns residents of large cities, the major urban dwellers of Russia, who can conditionally be called the middle class. All the efforts of the Kremlin have been directed at keeping this segment of Russian society as far away as possible from the realities of this war.
Shulha says that the Kremlin continues to pretend that the situation is under control, but it is becoming increasingly difficult for them to manage.
The Russian authorities offer participation in the war in exchange for money or other rewards. This could mean release from prison, exemption from criminal prosecution, debt forgiveness, or for migrants, even the possibility of obtaining citizenship. And accordingly, another part of Russian society that does not want to participate in this war in one way or another is exempt from it.
Political scientist Ihor Popov says that the cyber attack was no coincidence. It happened on the same day as the ultimatum to Russia from American President Donald Trump.
Officially, responsibility for this attack was claimed by the Belarusian cyber partisans, but they are not Ukraine's only allies. This shows that if Russia does not accept Trump's proposals, it doesn't mean that stealth bombers will immediately fly in and start bombing Voronezh. It means that the number of such incidents affecting Russian infrastructure will increase.
It is difficult to accurately assess the damage to Aeroflot, says an aviation expert.
When it comes to the cancellation of a single flight, the incurred losses can range from tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. If we're talking about hundreds of flights, then the losses can range from several million to, as a rule, $10 to $15 million.
The losses for the group of companies will be in two dimensions at once. The first is direct expenses. These include rerouting and downtime of flights, compensation for crews and passengers, additional airport fees, and so on. The second are indirect costs such as lost revenue and expenses related to associated businesses. Sonia Hrorchuk, TV channel Rada, for the main news summary.
What will finally bring Russia down? Ukrainian drones, nature, or an economic collapse? Share your opinion in the comments, leave a like under the video, and stay up to date with the main news. We already have 445,000 subscribers. There's more to come. See you soon.